What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I'm back again. This guy is a bum, Phantom Parker, man. All he knows how to do is run his mouth and get his ass whipped, in that order. So yeah, we're gonna continue to go ahead, bro, and finish up season 3. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get through the whole thing for you guys, but I wanted to talk to you guys about, that movie 12 Years a Slave. If you guys are not familiar with that, man, it was a lot of crazy, ridiculous bullshit that used to go on during the slave days. As far as people being freed in the North, it was always that chance that you could be like transported into an area that you weren't supposed to be in and become a slave, even though you were free in the North. And that's pretty much what happened in the movie. I'll let you guys check it out. It's actually based on the true story of a guy that actually went through this. Where it ended up where he just, from Saratoga, New York, he ends up wherever he was in the South and just became a slave for 12 plus years. And the movie, I don't usually watch black slave movies or African American Negro black slave movies because of the intentions usually of the director is to spark rage instead of sparking knowledge. It's sort of like, you're bringing something up to your significant other that happened way back when to get a rise out of them, sort of type of shit. And a lot of ignorant people usually fall for it. Now, the way the history is, we have to understand that we should be focused on things that are going on right now that are, prevalent, that are continuing to be in a prejudice mindset, and not what was going on back then when it was law. That's the difference. It was law back then, and people fought and died. A lot of Caucasians as well. It wasn't only black African American Negroes, you fucking ignorant bastards. It's sort of like, hearing somebody tell you that black African American Negroes is the reason that Obama was voted into office. No. Look at the population, you douchebags. It has to be Caucasians that contributed to it. So getting back to this, as far as, why I don't watch Negro movies and shit like that, it's usually that type of premise. But this movie was excellent. From the director to everything that happened with it, man. Like the movie itself, I can't believe this movie was actually released in America, because it actually, the biggest part of this movie for me is when you see that they're beating the slaves, mistreating them, and doing all kinds of ridiculous and such, oh my god, the beatings. And, learning the type of lingo that they use when they, like right now, we'd be like, let me get some skins. When they said, let me get some skins, that was something about beating the skin off of somebody. Like, those type of things, I didn't even know about that lingo being used like that. So, it was definitely an eye-opener for me. But my biggest thing about it was when the slave owners were teaching them religion. That was the biggest part of the movie for me. That right there, because what people don't understand, like all these guys, I'll make a video and I'll use a picture of Jesus in it, and guys will be like, oh yeah, it's funny, just don't use Jesus. Shut the fuck up, you clowns. How the fuck do you know what that man looked like? How do you know? That's what I want to know. How do you know? Everything is based on imagination and what people think that he looked like. So all these pictures could be false. And I'm not using it to be blasphemous or anything like that. And it's not in any kind of derogatory way. Everybody is so sensitive. And that's the reason when I saw this movie, I was fascinated to know that they would actually release this movie in a land where Christianity is so dominant. Because when you look at those scenes, you have to understand something. If everything was taken away from a slave, the right to learn how to read, their culture, everything that they were, everything that they have become, if everything was taken away from them, their language, everything you can think about was taken away from slaves, why was Christianity allowed? I'm gonna say that again. If the whole purpose, if you knew how to read, you would be taken care of accordingly. Okay? If you knew any type of knowledge, if you knew anything, you had to act like you didn't know shit. You were taught that you came from nothing, that you were nothing, that you didn't mean anything in this world. Everything was taken from you. Why was Christianity allowed? That's the biggest part of this movie. And people don't even realize it. If I was able to talk one-on-one with the director, that'll be the biggest question that I had for him. His boldness in showing it. And he was able to show it because he knows that it would go over a lot of people's heads. And people would act like they didn't understand what was going on. When you have them in groups, teaching them Christianity, yet still, everything else, you divest everything else from them. But you teach them this. Why? I don't need to explain that to you. I don't need to go out and start going through all the shit about it. Just ask yourself that question. If you're supposed to be destitute and have nothing and be treated like shit, you can show no valid proof of knowledge in any aspect. Why would this be the one thing that you're taught? That was the biggest part of this movie. This movie was so fucking serious and so intellectual without actually on the surface showing what its purpose was. It was unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Because this is what they did. That was the biggest part of keeping everybody under control. Do you see that? Like, you guys gotta understand that because we live in this age, in this day and now, everything will eventually come out and you will see it for what it is. And when knowledge is presented, most people will ignore it. That's why most things remain the same. But this right here can't be ignored. And this movie, this was a completely different type of Black African American Negro movie. This was a movie that actually showed certain points of life and reasoning behind what was going on during the slave days, and actually gave somebody something else to take away other than being in a rage with the white man, and the white man does this, and no, dickheads, you're doing it to yourself because you have everything at your disposal at this point, and you're still allowing the shit to go on. So I don't want to hear no goddamn nigga nonsense. This guy right here, as I end up, is a bummed out. But yo, just think about that. With everything else taken away from slaves, why was Christianity allowed? That's all I ask. If you have the answer for it, let me know. One love.